Hello and welcome to Trust But Verify, 5 Essential Security Questions. We are so proud to announce that today we are being sponsored by SafeSend. We're bringing you this webcast, which qualifies for 1 hour or 1 credit of continuing professional education and also 1 credit of IRS CE. Before we get started, just a brief introduction. I'm Gail Perry, Editor-in-Chief of CPA Practice Advisor, and I will be your moderator today. The way continuing education works, this webcast does qualify for 1 credit today. If you plan to earn continuing education credit today, you must stay with us for at least 50 minutes. In addition, we will display 5 polling questions during the webcast. You'll need to record an answer for at least 3 of these questions, as this is our verification that you are still watching. Later today, you'll receive an email from CPA Practice Advisor that contains a link to your CPE certificate, assuming you met the requirements for CPE. When you registered, you were asked to provide your PTIN number if you are also interested in receiving IRS CE credit. If for some reason you didn't do that, you can always add it in the Ask a Question box on your screen, along with your name and the IRS number, and we'll record it there. Please note that we can give credit for multiple people watching on the same computer. So if there are others in your office who would like to attend this event at the same computer, please have them join you now. And at the end of the event, we'll provide an opportunity for you to send us their names and email addresses so that they too can receive continuing education credit. At any time, you can enter any questions you might have in the Ask a Question box on your screen, and our speaker will try to get to as many questions as possible during the presentation. Questions not answered during this live webinar will be addressed by the speaker afterwards via email. The slides for today's presentation are available for download by clicking the Event Resources option at the bottom of your screen and then clicking on the PDF file that's displayed. Today, we're joined by Joe Wroblewski, Sales Engineer Manager at SafeSend, and now we are ready to begin.
Thank you very much, Gail. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being able to spend some time with us today. I know how busy everybody is. We've got another deadline coming up here. So we do really appreciate you being able to make the room for this kind of a discussion. And we do think that this is something that is critical to not only your business, but also your clients. So our topic today is 5 security questions CPA firms should ask tax automation vendors. And the reason for this topic is specific, really tied to, it being 2025. And no matter how strong your internal systems are, your security is only ever as strong as the weakest vendor that you have. And as CPAs, trust is what you do. It is the foundation of every client relationship you have. So here is how we're going to spend our time today. We're going to start with a real world wake up call, just talk about something that really happened. And then we're going to walk through the 5 essential questions you should be asking every vendor. We will then talk about the red flags to avoid, how to choose true security first partners. And then I'll share some about how SafeSend approaches these challenges. And then we'll have time for some Q&A if we weren't able to get through any of that as we were going through. And I will try to answer, as Gail mentioned, questions as we're going through also. So we're going to begin with the wake-up call. So this is a real security incident that really should concern everybody here. So go ahead and move this over here. Sorry. So if you picture just a scenario here, say it's January, it's busy season. You log into your tax workflow app and you're trying to pull up a report. You click a button and one second here. You click a button and instead of your client's data, you see numbers that just don't belong to you at all. So that's the kind of scenario that actually happened earlier this year in January. Another tax software vendor reported an incident where users saw high-level reporting with incorrect numbers. Thankfully, no individual client details were accessible, and the incident only lasted about an hour. But how many of your clients would care whether or not personal data was visible? From their perspective, trust erodes the moment there's any kind of an incident. Details like details don't really matter beyond that. Your client's data security is only ever as strong as the weakest vendor. And with each vendor, you add both capability and risk. And there's, if any of you, I don't know, if you think back, have any of you had like a vendor incident that caused questions or headaches from clients? And that, just thinking about that, is why security isn't optional, it's foundational. Now we're going to talk about why vendor security matters more than ever. So firms today are dealing with, as everyone knows, staffing shortages, which means that you have more automation, you have more tools, and you have more vendors. Each new vendor introduces another doorway into your client's data. So bigger tech stacks mean more third-party vendors with access to client information. And when you add into that human error, which IBM says accounts for 26% of all breaches, the stakes get even higher. The average cost of a data breach is $4.44 million per incident. And that's not just a line item. That's the kind of cost that that changes the trajectory of your firm. And CPA firms are prime targets. Because of the sensitive financial and personal data that you manage, hackers know that if they can't get in through you, they'll try through the vendors that you trust. One thing there, sorry. So what's at stake for your firm beyond financial losses? What happens if a vendor gets it wrong? First, client trust erosion. Once it's lost, it's nearly impossible to regain. Professional reputation damage. That can last for years, even if it wasn't your direct fault. Regulatory compliance issues and potential penalties. Regulators don't care who made the mistake. The firm is the one that's on the hook. Potential loss of your firm in several cases, like these can be devastating losses and can cost enough money to shut places down. And it puts you also at a competitive disadvantage, even if you are able to survive, because clients are going to start seeking more secure options. I'm not trying to say this to scare you. These aren't scare tactics. It's not hyperbole. A breach isn't just about dollars. It can really undo decades of work and branding and everything you've put into your firm. And that's going to lead us into the first polling question. Yeah.
Okay, this is our first question. Beyond financial loss, which of these keeps you up at night? Your options are professional reputation, client retention, compliance issues, competitive disadvantage, or all of the above. And click the answer that seems most appropriate for your situation, what's keeping you up at night. If you have any trouble posting the answer on the screen, sometimes depending on the device you're using, the question doesn't pop up properly, you can enter your answer in the Ask a Question box and we will record it there. So go ahead and pick what is keeping you up at night and then click Submit. It looks like the majority of answers coming in are saying all of the above.
Not incredibly surprised by that, I guess.
Okay, looks like we've got about everybody in here.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Gail. Yeah, it does look like all of the above was kind of the primary answer there. All right. So from there, thank you everybody for going through that. The next thing we're going to go into is the 5 essential security questions that you should be asking every single vendor. So question number 1 is going to be the first one here. For security is about security certifications, if you can say it. What security certifications and compliance standards do you maintain? Why does this matter? Because certifications like SOC 2 Type 2 audits or the ISO 2701 are essentially like the license that you have as a CPA. They're CPA licenses for technology vendors. So just as your license proves your competence and your professionalism and all the effort and work you've put into what you do, these certifications prove that your vendor has met rigorous security standards. And you want to look for these essential certifications here. SOC 2 Type 2 is the AICPA framework for information security practices. ISO 27001 is the international standard for information security management. State compliance like CCPA, GLBA, and other regional requirements. Ask for evidence of these. Have people, vendors who have gone through the effort. These are difficult to get, and it's a lot of hard work. Vendors are proud to show you this information because it shows how much they do care about security. Don't settle for vague answers with this questions. You want to make sure that you get proof. Ask for audit reports. Make sure that they're current. Would you trust a CPA who said, I don't really have a license myself, but I'm really good with numbers? Probably not. It's the same thing here. So ask for recent audit reports, verify certifications, make sure that they're current. Don't accept any kind of vague assurances with this. So just kind of putting it out there, just think about this. How many of you, when you're buying or shopping for new tech vendors of any kind, have you requested the SOC 2 audit? It's something that you should be looking for every time. That should be your starting point for this. Now, the next question we're going to go into is how do you handle data protection and encryption? And here's just an analogy here. You wouldn't leave out stacks of your client files on your desk overnight. Digital files need the same kinds of protection, and the security measures that are essential include end-to-end encryption. So that's where the information itself, the data itself that's moving around to your clients, to the server, from where you are to your server and beyond. That should all be encrypted, end-to-end encryption. So it's while that data is in motion, making its way from one spot to another, and also while it's at rest on servers. Multi-factor authentication, or MFA, that just really helps prevent unauthorized access, and it's much better than passwords. Regular penetration testing by ethical hackers. So I know that we hire ethical hackers. We hire companies that will try to find holes in our security system so that they can, if they happen to ever find anything, we can fix it before any bad actors have a chance to get in there. Real-time security monitoring to detect and respond to threats. If a vendor can't describe their encryption practices clearly and specifically, that's a warning sign. Question number 3. Oh, actually, there's a polling question here. I'm so sorry. I skipped over that, Gail.
Okay. We're going to hop in here with a polling question, which is, how often do you request a SOC report from your vendors? And the answer options are never, or when I remember, always, or I have no idea. And while the answers to this are coming in, I want to take this one step further. And this is a question for you, Joe. How do you make that request? If you just sign up for a software program online, how do you go about finding out if they have these security reports?
You should. Well, it would be, we hope that you're not just signing up for them online. You want to talk to people, talk to your vendors before you ever start actually using a product, especially one that has could potentially have a lot of holes for security. Speak with, usually their sales reps are going to want to talk to you, but you can talk to their support team, their solution consultants, have a demonstration and talk live to people so that you can ask those kinds of questions. And they should be prepared for that question. What kind of security do you have? What kind of support do you have? What kind of training? All of that. Those are things that you want to go through in a real chat with somebody, and hopefully not just sign up online for.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And in our survey questions coming in, it appears that never or I have no idea is like 3/4 of our audience.
Yeah, these certifications are hard to get. They take a lot of work and they take a lot of testing. So it's a really good thing to kind of lead off with that, just to make sure that the people you're dealing with, they take security very seriously.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And looks like that one is over. Let me go ahead and move on to the third question. And the third question here is, what are your employee security protocols? So technology obviously is only as secure as the people that use it. So vendors should require security training before anyone touches the system. They should test employees with phishing simulations. They should have mobile device policies, background checks, and strict access control. Like I know that we have every few months, we have to go through a class that kind of teaches every employee at Thomson Reuters about kind of what phishing attempts look like, how you can recognize them, what to do about them. Every technology vendor needs to be having this. There just are too much at stake. So security aware vendors maintain things like mandatory IT security training programs before any kind of system access at all. Regular cybersecurity awareness testing through simulated phishing. Those where people are going to test your staff as you're going through the tech vendor staff just on a regular basis. Mobile device management policies with remote wipe capabilities. So I know that since we have been acquired by Thomson Reuters, we have, if we have a phone that has anything Thomson Reuters related on there, it is a separate phone from our personal phone. We can't have both. And it can be a pain, but it's worthwhile, certainly for security, so that nobody can have any sensitive information on a phone that cannot just immediately be wiped if anything happens. Strict access control protocols using the least privilege approach, and background checks for all staff with any client data access. That's a huge one. Why does all of this matter? Because breaches often start with people. The stereotype is a hacker in like a hoodie hiding out, but in the reality is usually it's an employee clicking the wrong link in an email. So you want to make sure that you're always asking, how do you train and protect your people? Because their mistakes can become your liability, and nobody wants to deal with that. Too easy to be proactive about. Question number 4 is about incident responses. So how do you handle security incidents and communications? Every reputable vendor should have a very clear incident response plan. They should test it regularly. They should communicate openly with their clients during an incident and be transparent afterwards about what happened and how they've improved and how they'll make sure that kind of thing does not happen again. So reputable vendors will have a clear response plan. They'll have procedures for that, and they will tell you what they are. They will provide you with those if you ask. Open communication with clients during incidents. Regular security testing and monitoring, and transparent post-incident analysis and improvements. You can just ask yourself, would you work with a vendor that refuses to tell you about problems that they've had? Probably not. So accountability builds confidence. Perfection is not possible, but transparency is something that should be non-negotiable. Every security vendor, every vendor that deals with security these days is going to have something come up, some kind of a challenge. And if they say that they've never had an incident, they're either not paying enough attention or they're not being honest. So those are things that we'll talk about in a little while when we get into red flags. But one way to kind of ensure that the vendor you're looking at is transparent and they have protocols in place, get references. Use the communities at hand that are available to you. And there are a lot of really great ones. Other firms want to make sure that you're not running into problems too. So talk to references, people who've been using, firms that have been using that vendor for at least 2 full years, so that you can talk to them about how what situations came up, if anything, and how did they handle it? If situations did come up, how did they communicate that to you? It's very important to make sure that those vendors are honest and transparent and have plans in place. And that actually brings us to another polling question here, getting these out of the way quick for everybody.
Okay, this is our third polling question. Does your firm require your employees to complete security programs? And the possible answers are yes, at the time of hire only, or yes, once a year, or no, but I'm going to start now, or no, I'm the only employee, or just if this is totally not applicable to you, then not applicable is an option as well.
And while people are answering that, there was a question, I think it's similar to what, and maybe Gail, this is where you saw this because I just noticed it in the questions that somebody asked about signing up without being able to ask these questions. Like the question specifically was, when you sign up with the tax prep software, there are no real questions that you can ask. You just sign up. I don't understand what kind of problems you're talking about here. Can you explain? You should be able to talk to people. This is really important information. Like, we always want prospects to actually speak to somebody here, whether it's a sales rep, or again, somebody who can provide a demonstration with you. Talk to a live person. It's important. You shouldn't just be signing up for these things just without any kind of check on that. So find a way to speak to somebody there so that you can ask those questions. And we're happy if you want to communicate with us. We can afterward we can talk to you about other ways that you can make sure that you're reaching people at those vendors outside of just SafeSend purchasing something from us. We want to make sure that you know how to make that happen. It doesn't. So another question, a similar question, doesn't seem realistic to ask these questions and request documentation audit reports. It should be realistic to ask this, and that's not something you should feel comfortable asking vendors about this. We expect it, and a lot of other vendors do too. It doesn't happen as often as it should be, but that's kind of why we're talking today. You want to make sure that security is in place. It's okay to ask that. It's important to the vendors that they get your business, and it's important to them that they have these security measures and certifications in place. It takes a lot of work on their end. It takes a lot of effort, and they should be, for the most part, they're very proud that they've been able to do this and happy to show it to you. Like, I know a lot of vendors, SafeSend included, will require that you sign an NDA, but as soon as you do that, you can have access to the full SOC 2 Type 2 audit that we have. And hopefully that helps with some of the questions there. If you have more, please go through and ask those, and I'll try to get to those as we continue along. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and move into the next and the fifth and final question here. What is your track record with security and updates? So this is where the talk kind of becomes evidence. Ask about uptime. So the standard is 99.99% or better. Ask about when they schedule updates, because the middle of tax season is not a good answer. You want to make sure that your vendor understands the business and of what you're doing, and that they're not going to be running updates while you're in the busiest of busy seasons. And they're hardly, everything is a busy season right now, but in April, you don't want your vendor to shut down because they're adding an enhancement. So find ways to talk to people. You should be talking to these potential vendors, and you want to ask about not only when they run enhancements and when they have updates, but ask about past incidents and how they were resolved. So talk to them directly about system reliability, that look for that 99.99% uptime or better. Those are hours and hours and hours that can add up very quickly, especially if they go down during busy season. Update and maintenance schedules. Make sure that they're not happening during busy season. What kind of past security incidents have they had, and how were they resolved? Client communication. How does the vendor keep you informed? If something does happen, how are you going to know? Do they have any kind of status, that support status or uptime status that you can sign up for, so that you'll be emailed and notified immediately if something does happen. And third-party security assessments of their own vendors. What are they doing to check on those third parties that they rely on? How are they getting security? What kind of security questions are the vendors asking their own vendors? So if a vendor gets in any way kind of defensive about any kind of track record, or doesn't seem like they want to tell you everything, that is a red flag. You want vendors that are going to share this information openly. It's a sign of professionalism, reliability, maturity, and that it shows that they take that security very seriously, and they should be. Past performance matters, especially when your business is relying on them. Now, we're going to move next into some red flags. I've sort of hinted at a few here. So we've got some of the 5 questions, or we've got the 5 questions here. But just as important as the answers are some warning signs that you might run into. So we're going to talk about some of the things that maybe shouldn't lead you to walking away, or possibly even running away at certain times. So warning signs here. So here are some of the red flags that should end a conversation, basically. If you're talking to a vendor and you're going through and a lot of this can happen during a demonstration when you're talking on those technical things going on within the program itself and looking at what it can do to help you, you can start asking questions at that point and they should be able to answer those. But if they are dodging any kind of security questions, that can really show that security is not a priority, and it should be their number one priority. If they try to downplay any past incidents, or if they have any kind of a lack of transparency, those are red flags as well. Any kind of vague or irregular security update practices that they have, anything that isn't concrete and doesn't just make sense to you, are things that you need to just be on the lookout for. These aren't all necessarily terrible things in and of themselves, but when they start to add up, you have to be very careful. If the vendor can't explain certain procedures that they have in place for security, it really can indicate a lack of protocols. Maybe they don't have the right protocols in place, or they're hiding something potentially. Hopefully not. If they're missing a SOC 2 Type 2 audit or the ISO 27001 certifications, that's a big deal. Those are fundamental. That's a huge security gap. And if they're reluctant to provide any of that documentation, it is possible that they have something to hide. So make sure that you get that. Everybody who has it is happy to provide it to you. It's something, again, that they are going to be proud of. It's sort of something that they will flaunt and kind of brag about if they have it. So if something feels off, basically, it probably is. And here's a practical tip. If a vendor treats documentation like it's pulling teeth, that's not the kind of partner that you want handling your client's most sensitive information. So if you see red flags with this, especially more than one, it might be time to look for other options. And that's going to bring us to another polling question here.
Okay. The next question is, have you ever not moved forward with a particular vendor because of their security protocols? And the answer options are yes, no, or I don't know. So answer that to the best of your ability.
And a question just came in while you guys are answering that. Is there any list of approved vendors? There isn't really. Like there isn't, as far as I know, I've been doing this with all the other vendors and prospects and firms that I've been speaking with over the years. I haven't seen anything like that put together. So it's often really good to go talk to other groups of CPAs that you belong to, even if it's things like other communities, like on subreddits or things like that, where other CPAs, other firms, they do generally want you to succeed as well. It's a really great community. Should rely on those people to help you with this so that they can maybe give you some real information about things that have happened to them in the past.
Okay, and Joe, we're looking at almost a quarter of our attendees have chosen to not move forward with a vendor because of security protocols.
Good, and that's, I mean, it's too bad, but it also makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much for everybody for answering that. What we're going to move into next is building security first partnerships. So how do you choose the right partners? You want to look for vendors who maintain very transparent practices. Those vendors who provide documentation freely and willingly. They're those who understand the tax and accounting profession and have respect and empathy for your busy season and what you guys have to go through during certain parts of the year when you don't have time to be bothered by things that they have control over updating. The right vendor isn't just selling you software. They are entering into a partnership with your firm, and partners should have trust. They should require both trust and some shared responsibility. So you want to work with vendors who, move this over here. You want to work with vendors who, again, maintain transparent security practices and regular communication. Those who provide comprehensive documentation on security measures that they have and are proactive in letting you know and that what steps they will take or what things have happened in the past and what they did to fix those things. You want to make sure that these are vendors that you're partnering up with vendors who understand the accounting profession as a whole and won't disrupt your busy season. It's also helpful to make sure that their support team and their training team understand the business as well, the industry, so that they know what you're talking about when you call in with a question and what your workflows are and what beyond security, kind of what you're going through, and they can help you better that way as long as they know that process. There's a question here I'm going to get to. In onboarding a new client, what is an appropriate way to address the security issues that we discussed? So with onboarding a new client, are you talking about like a taxpayer client? So because I'm on the other side of this as a vendor, the client is often the firm. So it can be a couple different things there. So if your clients, the taxpayers, are asking about security, you should be able to, if you don't have it already, contact your vendor immediately and ask for certification so that you can show the vendor that, or show your client that, sorry. They should also have, like on their website, they should have a quick, just a very brief, very easy to understand description of the security measures that they have in place and what they go through. And then you can always request more detailed information, and they should be happy to provide it. Hopefully that helped with that question a little bit. Now, getting back to this, for communicating, I think we were at communicating security updates. We want to make sure that that is happening regularly, proactively. Your vendor should be speaking to you very quickly about things that have happened, the things that are going to happen, what they're going to do to stop that, to prevent anything in the future, what they've done to kind of shore up anything that has happened in the past. Now from here, we've got security and compliance benefits. So here's what you gain from vendors who do put security first. Encrypted data transfer and storage. So any data should always be encrypted while it's moving around, while it's sitting at rest on the servers, regardless. It doesn't matter. It should be protected at all times. Audit trails for complete compliance documentation. So on the end of a lot of documents, you should find audit logs, trails of what happened with that document. I know that we do this for anything that goes through e-signing, and a lot of other vendors do as well, or at least they provide it separately, where you always know exactly when somebody signed something, where they were by IP address, email address, on what day, at what time. If they went through knowledge-based authentication, there should be a token number that is on that audit log so that you can prove to the IRS that you were compliant. All of that should always be provided. Multi-factor authentication without any kind of client frustration. So a lot of vendors, I know we've never used passwords for your clients because we don't think that they work very well. It's hard for clients to remember their passwords if they're only getting into like their portal once a year or so. And If they can't remember them, then there's always the chance that they're using the same password for everything that they do or for all these other accounts. And that's basically like not having one at all. So having multi-factor authentication in place often is a lot easier for clients because they don't have to remember anything other than maybe the last four of their SSN, and then they put an access code in that they get. But not only is it easier for the user, the taxpayer, but it's also a lot more secure. You want to make sure that those vendors, that the ones that are really doing what they should be doing, they're providing regular security updates and monitoring. And that often includes having like testing with ethical hackers, hiring ethical hackers to try to find holes in the security. And if they find them, they can shut them down before any bad actors have a chance to get in. That is going to provide a lot of peace of mind for you and for your clients, because at the end of the day, it isn't just IT security. It's really client confidence and client and relationships between you and your clients, and that's going to build a lot of trust. The next slide here, we're going to go into next some solutions and next steps. So now we're going to turn to what to do with this information. So what does a security first partner look like in practice? And I'm going to share because I know Safeton, we know what we do and how important it is to us. We're going to be talking about kind of how we handle security and what we do, and we think we know a lot of other vendors do as well, but we think that this is what you should be looking for. So I'm going to go right over here to how we address kind of every security concern. So at SafeSend, security it's not an afterthought. It's the core of how we build things. Like, our goal is always to make sure that we have a very easy client experience, that your clients choose to use the programs, the features that we have, because it's the easiest thing they've ever done to be able to get their source documents back to you, or go through their return and review it and sign their e-file forms. But that is always second to security. So we have enterprise grade security built for accounting firms. We are SOC 2 Type 2 certified. That's something that we have done on an annual basis. We get that renewed and we get it tested all the time and checked. We have end-to-end encryption for all data in transit and at rest. Now, the next one down here is not really about security necessarily. 97% KBA success rate, which is very great. It's amazing, but it's not security necessarily. It's just the ease with which clients can sign their e-file forms each year electronically. And it's in relation, what that's about, if you're not already familiar with that, is 1040 taxpayers each year, before they can electronically sign their e-file forms, they have to prove who they are. They have to verify their identity. So they are asked multiple choice questions. Those questions are unique to each taxpayer, so they're different for primary and a spouse. And they need to get 3 questions correct out of 5. Our success rate with that process has never been below 97%. And we've been doing this for 10 tax seasons now, with over 10 million returns going through our system. So we have that part figured out. I'm not sure why that was put on the slide necessarily, but it is something that we're very happy with. Below that, we'll get back to security. Real-time monitoring with automated threat detection. So we want to make sure that everything we're doing is always being tested and checked and monitored. And you can even sign up, whether you're a client or not. You can actually go to safesend.com and you can sign up for automated updates that, if anything is down for any reason, any single feature even, we'll send you an email and make sure that you know that what's going on, why it happened. We'll let you know as soon as it's fixed and what we're going to do to prevent it in the future. We are very transparent with any kind of incidents we've had and the responses we take, and how we're proactive to make sure that we don't have those kinds of things happening again in the future. And we're built for the tax and accounting industry. We understand your security needs, your client security needs, and your workflows. So if you take the 5 questions that we went through, we do try to make sure that we answer every single one of them with confidence, and are happy to go through any prospect. I wish more prospects were asking more of those questions. It's sort of a shame that they're not, I think. We we have all of that in place, and we kind of like to show it off if we can. So other vendors should be the same way, and a lot of them are. So the next slide here is kind of how SafeSend One protects your firm's future. So how do you future-proof this? So beyond security, we are built to move your firm forward. So the tools and features that we have in place to help with that process, one mentioned up here right up on top is called Next Gen Gather AI. And this automates document collection faster than manual processes. So basically what Gather does is it allows you on the firm side to send any combination you need to your clients, and you can do all of this in batches, but any combination you need of an engagement letter, a custom questionnaire, the organizer coming out of your tax software, but fillable, so your clients can fill it out on their screen. And the fourth piece to this, and probably the most important one, is a client-specific document request list. So the way the Gather works is on the firm side, you upload organizers, whether you're going to actually send them to your clients or not, because you don't have to, but you upload organizers into Gather. And Gather will make them fillable so that if you do send them, your clients can fill them out on their screen. But it's also going to use the information from prior years that's on the organizer to create a unique document request list for each and every client. So when you send these out, your clients from a single email, they'll sign their engagement letter if you've included it. They'll they'll answer questions from a questionnaire that you created. They will be able to fill out the organizer if you've included it on their screen. And then they'll be taken to a document request list that was made for them. So the documents are specific to what they need to send back to you. And all they have to do is drag those documents in. And what will happen is as those documents are being uploaded into Gather, they're being dragged in. Gather's going to scan those documents as well. It's going to recognize those documents and match them up with what was requested. So your clients always have a very clear idea of what they have done, what they still need to do. We have automatic reminders going out so that they always know what tasks have not yet been completed. And as they complete those tasks, we'll make sure that somebody at the firm is notified immediately. And on the firm side, you always have a clear idea, and everybody there does, of exactly where clients are throughout the entire process. You can even, if a client calls in with a question, you can even open up on your screen while you're on the phone with a client. You can open up a copy of what they're looking at the same time. You can click buttons along with them. The goal, again, is make sure that your clients have a very simple process. There aren't very many steps. There are never more than 4 steps involved with Gather. It's very quick. And one other really nice thing is I mentioned earlier, you don't have to include the organizer as what you're sending out. A lot of clients, as you're probably aware, don't really do much with the organizer. They don't care for it. So you don't have to include it. You can also use Gather for anything, for any return type. It is not tied or bound to those 1040 and 1041 clients. Because we don't need the organizer at all, it can work for not only any other return type, but any other request that you have within the firm. So if somebody in audit or in HR, they have some requests to send out where they need somebody to sign something. They need that person to maybe answer a few questions, and then they also maybe they need specific documents from that person. That's a Gather request that can be sent out, and again, in batches. So you can take care of other requests beyond just 1040s and 1041s. We have direct integration with kind of major tax software, eliminating some data silos. But the tax software that we have integrations with include Go System Tax and UltraTax from Thomson Reuters, Intuit's Lacert tax software. So we have direct integration with that. We have a direct integration with CCH Access. We can also read and return. We can read returns from CCH's ProSystem FX as well. But for the return, I'm talking about the returns here and more beyond that intake process with Gather. With returns, what we do is we have an automated assembly and delivery system. So any of your tax returns can be transmitted in from your tax software, as long as it's one of those that I just mentioned. And as a return is coming into our system, we're going to verify that it's been assembled and collated correctly. We're going to add signature fields on all federal and state e-file forms and FBARs. And we're going to generate an automated quarterly reminder for any of your clients who have payments that they need to make throughout the year. We'll take care of bugging them for you. And once the return has gone through those processes, and that takes 3 to 5 seconds, that's when somebody at the firm will open up that return that they want to deliver. And this is designed to all be admin driven, but they will open up the return that they want to deliver in SafeSend, and they will just verify that the information is correct and send that return off to the client. And from there, your client gets an email. They can securely access their return without a password through using multi-factor authentication that we talked about. And once they're in their return, we have them do 3 things. First, we'll have them review the return. Then we'll have them sign their e-file forms, and then we'll help them manage and make their tax payments. They can even distribute K-1s from there. And as they go through, it's just a few steps. They will have access to this information, to their returns, to their gather requests, their source documents, anything in here, for up to 7 years. So they can go back in anytime they need. And on your side, on the firm side with the returns, you can update estimated payments throughout the year. You got that client view so that you can see what clients are going through when they call in. You can group returns together by client. They can access everything in one secure portal as well. And there are a couple questions before we move forward here a little bit. Do we work with Drake software? We don't recognize Drake. We don't have any integrations. We don't recognize returns or organizers coming from Drake. So we don't work with Drake software. And for the question, do you integrate with Pro Series or just Lacert? It is from Intuit Products. It's just Lacert right now. Hopefully that helped with those questions there. Now, in addition to that, we do have a client portal. Our client portal is very different from any other client portal you've ever seen, in that really it's more of a task manager than anything else. We want to make sure that when your clients go into their portal, and they can do that from a button on your website if you want, they see pending tasks first. What do they still need? What do you still need them to do? And they can access anything that you've requested of them, whether it's signing something or going through that gather or their return experience. All of that's going to be right there for them. We really focus a lot on end-to-end workflows, from engagement letters through final delivery. We have a lot of features and tools in place to kind of help tax and accounting firms get through the engagement cycle with your clients and make it easy for them. We do have SOC 2 Type 2 security, and we're happy to show it to you. We do have you sign an NDA, but you can see everything that anything within the SOC 2 audit, that is, so you can see the history of what's happened, anything that's ever happened, any incidents, what we've done about them, plans for the future to make sure they don't happen again. We have scalable cloud architecture that grows with your practice seamlessly. And that result really is that you protect your client data today while you're scaling for the future. So it is cloud-based, which really helps with kind of preparing for the future. And there's a question here: is there more for offices that do not use CRMs like Taxstone? Is this more for offices that do not use CRM? So SafeSend is not a CRM, nor like a practice management or a document management software, DMS. We aren't that. We're really focused on workflows so that your clients have a very easy experience regardless of what you're doing with them throughout the year, what kind of request you have. Emails all look the same to them. That's something they can get comfortable with very, very quickly. And we provide a lot of automations on the firm side to kind of make things a little bit more efficient there. So like being able to deliver a tax return in 4 to 5 minutes on average, regardless of return type or complexity. That's something that we offer. Getting organizers or gather requests out very quickly and in batches. We do have secure file transfer that you can access right from Outlook. And you can send documents out for signature requests. We have a lot of different features in place that all kind of tie that entire client experience together throughout the entire year. And Sadia asks, organizers also help us satisfy some of our due diligence requirements. What are your thoughts on that? Organizers can be great, but they can also be a burden. So what we'll walk through with you when we're kind of going through and getting kind of training you on what we offer, we're going to work with the workflows that you have, and we don't want to change things that have been working in the past for you. So if organizers have been working, that can be part of the gather request, so your clients can fill them out on their screen. But you don't necessarily have to include all of it. Maybe you just need to schedule C for that. Or for some subset of clients, maybe they don't need an organizer at all. Maybe a questionnaire that you've built out will take care of everything, all the information you need from them can be handled from that. So we'll work with you on those things so that your clients are going through very easy, simple requests. And it's a very fluid process on their end. And you can get those documents back nice and quick. And get things taken care of. Now, I'm going to move to the final polling question here, and we'll go through any other questions and maybe some next steps here.
All right, this question is just a quick question to ask you if you are interested in more information about SafeSend. So your answer options are yes or no, or I'm just here for the continuing education credits. So while people are answering that,
we'll wrap up here too.
Yeah, you can go ahead and continue.
Thank you, Gail. So to wrap up here, just a little takeaway and make sure that we'll make sure any other questions are taken care of. Really, the point of today is just knowing that if you ask the right questions, you're protecting your clients. You're protecting your firm's reputation, and you don't want to spend decades sometimes building a firm and your reputation and your client relationships only to have it all be taken down very quickly by something that you could have asked about and could have had taken care of. So just be very careful when you're looking at new software. Be very careful with the vendors, not only the vendors, but the third parties that they hire. Ask questions. You're allowed to do that. This is your money. This is your reputation, and it's your firm. The 5 questions we covered today, they're not complicated, but they can be very powerful. They can tell you very quickly whether a vendor deserves access to your client's sensitive information or not. Use them in the next vendor evaluation that you're going through, because your client's trust is really important. It's too important to leave to chance or uncertainty. So as far as like next steps here, make sure you're auditing your current vendors. Go through the ones you have and go through those questions and just ask them. Say, hey, can you provide these certifications? Do you have them? Just make sure that the people that you're already using, not only the ones that you're moving forward with potentially, ask those same questions. And plan a review internally with the vendors that you're using, the vendors that you're looking for. Make sure everybody knows what needs to happen. I do really appreciate everybody's time today. I want to make sure that we have any remaining questions. Let me see. Okay, great. We do have some questions here real quick. Do you integrate with document management or practice management software? We don't have direct integrations with document management or DMS systems or practice management software, but we do have open APIs. So what we have is the ability for you to kind of build the bridge between our system and what you're using. It comes with this so that you don't have to change everything. Change the things that make the most sense. Try to get rid of any kind of inefficiencies if you can, and where clients might be struggling. But we can go through. You can set up APIs to kind of have that information move from one system to another. How does SafeSend work directly with UltraTax, the software that you're using? So what we have with UltraTax right now is tax returns can be transmitted directly from UltraTax into SafeSend just through CS Connect, if you're familiar with that, or that red plug. That's the direct integration we have for the return feature. We also have for Thomson Reuters on the back end, we have direct integration with Go File Room. So completed e-file forms can be sent right into Go File Room. We are building some more UltraTax integrations on the back end to kind of help with being able to release e-file forms easier, automate some of that process. And we have some integrations being built with SurePrep, SP Binder, and 1040 Scan. All right. And Oh, and I think that otherwise, that is everything I had. Gail, I think you had some more in here too, right?
I just have a few more closing comments. First of all, we want to thank you, Joe, for an outstanding presentation with really useful information that I think a lot of people didn't even know that was available out there. So I really appreciate that. We want to thank SafeSend for making this event possible and for allowing us to offer continuing education credits for our attendees. And speaking of that, just a reminder, we will be sending all of you an email message later today with a link to your CPE certificate if you were here for the whole event and answered the polling questions. So look for that. It'll be an email coming from CPA Practice Advisor. Also, we'll take care, for those of you who signed up for IRS CE credit, we'll take care of sending that in on your behalf to the IRS. We hope all of you enjoyed this webinar. We're so glad that you shared your time with us today. If you have any questions about continuing education credit, you can contact me directly at gperry, Gperry, at cpapracticeadvisor.com. Also, if there are others watching this event with you at the same computer and they require continuing education credit, you can email me their names and email addresses. And also, if they require IRS CE credit, you can send me their PTIN numbers. And again, that's gperry at cpapracticeadvisor.com. We're about to post an evaluation form on the screen. We hope you'll take a few minutes just to share your feedback with us so we can continue to improve our webinar series. I think that's it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Joe. And our audio will end now.